Thank you very much for having me. I'm Tom Impallomeni, and I'm the CEO of Virtually Live. And Virtually Live is a San Francisco headquartered company. We do virtual reality for live sports. I also happen to be a big Tottenham Hotspur football fan. I don't know if there are any Tottenham Hotspur football fans here. Probably just only me. But this is interesting because 18 months ago, I moved to San Francisco from the UK. And it just so happened that as soon as I moved, for the first time in 30 years, Tottenham Hotspur went on a title run. So we almost won the Premier League title. And I was there in San Francisco, unable to watch as if I was in the stadium. So I used to be a season ticket holder myself. And that's important because there was this big separation. What really the purpose of Virtually Live, the reason that we exist is because it was built around the idea that watching sports with your friends beats everything. It's a really, really social environment, and not only that, live trumps all. So live is the best experience of all. So I was a season ticket holder for many years, and I was unable to get back to the UK on a weekly basis to watch my team go on this title run. That's really the premise of where our technology originated from. So enter virtual reality. Virtual reality solves a significant problem. It gives the opportunity for people to attend, to socialize, to watch live events together as if they were there, to give that immersive experience. And that's really where we were born out of. And it's not just me. I've given you one example, but there are many examples. Look here. China has repeatedly 100 million Manchester United fans. That's more than the total population of the UK. And many of those are never going to be able to go and experience Old Trafford, which is one of the best stadiums to watch their team live. But it's not just that. Older generations, people who used to watch sports for many, many years, who may not be able to go to the stadium anymore. People unable to pay ticket prices. So the Golden State Warriors in Oakland, very close to San Francisco, are in the finals of the NBA. The ticket prices courtside are $29,000 for one seat. Most people can't pay that. So really, this is where we're solving a big problem. 98% of fans around the world are never able to attend the stadiums to watch the teams that they support. That's a huge problem. And this is where our vision comes out of. Virtually Live is about enabling fans around the world to experience live sports and events as if they were there with their friends. It sits at the interface of virtual, sports, and social. But really, the main thing here to bear in mind is what is going to make this happen? So the virtual reality market is very, very early at the moment. As a lot of you will have seen, headsets are just coming to market. 2016 is the year of VR. With that, there's only currently limited content available. At the Samsung Developers Conference in San Francisco, they quoted that only 2 million hours of content had been consumed at that point. There were 1 million users. There's still a big content gap. And there's a lot of hardware, a lot of fragmentation that's happening at the moment as well. So like about 50 or 70 different headsets. But despite this early market stage, headset reviews are amazingly positive. If you work in the VR market for any time at all, you see the reaction that people have to these headsets. It's really a life-changing thing when you first try virtual reality. So the Oculus came out, that's receiving 9 out of 10 reviews. The Vive, the Sony PlayStation VR, the multitude of mobile headsets that are also coming to market. And of course, we spent a lot of time today talking about augmented reality. The Meta headset is now out, and you can start building for that. The HoloLens, you can get a developer kit for about $3,000. Magic Leap is going to be a big game changer. All of these things are coming. All of these things are giving the market momentum. And it's going to be a massive, massive thing. It's estimated that by 2025, the market will be worth about $100 billion globally. And not just that, it's not just that far out that's important. This year, there will be about 40 million headsets in circulation. That can't be possible, a lot of people say. But actually, if you think about it, there's already about 20 million Google Cardboards in circulation. So there's going to be 40 million headsets in circulation this year. The bulk of that will be mobile VR, about 80%. Within 2 years, there will be 200 million headsets in circulation. So you're going to start to get to a point where VR is going to come. Like you can feel it already here today, but it's coming, and it's coming fast. And you can see this curve. The takeoff curve is anticipated to be very, very steep. And we've talked a lot today. People have talked about the hype cycle of VR. And despite this inevitable hype cycle, it's going to be a huge, huge deal. So virtual reality, that big enabler of live sports and live events, is going to be a big deal. And events and live sports will make up a significant chunk, about 4.1 billion here of this pie relates to live events. It's going to be a big, big chunk of that. And sports, in particular, are important for virtual reality, because if you think of VR, you think naturally it's a little bit antisocial. You put a headset on, you close out the world. Sports are social. It's about sharing with your friends. And as Nelson Mandela put it, sports have the power to unite people, to bring them together in a way that little else does. It speaks to youth in their language. It's a fundamental, important piece of entertainment. And sporting audiences, of course, are absolutely huge. This is India-Pakistan in the Cricket World Cup last year, 2015, a TV audience collectively of 1 billion. Massive audiences. It's a huge market, $90 billion market just for ticket sales. And not only that, but the bulk of live TV programming now relates to sports. This is from the US. In 2005, 86% of TV programming, top 100 TV programs in the US, were non-sporting. If you fast forward to 2015, it's 7% that were non-sporting, 93% around live sports. So it's going to be a big deal. How does VR work with sports? At the moment, there are 3 types of approach. The first is a basic approach, 360 VR, or spherical capture. So it's like this camera right in front of you in the middle of the room. And it gives you a courtside seat, but you can't move. You can't move around apart from turning your head, so you have to move from position to position. The second option that you have is a CGI room with a screen, so you can move around within a limited space, but then your interactions socially are only within that space. And what we are about at Virtually Live is the third option, which is true VR for live sports. And what we mean by that is putting you in the experience, putting you on the field whilst the game is going on so you can look around you, so you can interact. It's really taking sports broadcast to the next level. And that's what we're around. We do it this way currently. We take tracking data, so we track what the players are doing on the field. We render it into a virtual environment, and then we enable people to interact socially with their friends. Here are some examples of what we've done. This is Formula E. You may or may not be familiar with it. It's the sort of electric version of Formula One. There's a Chinese team called NextTV who are involved. We've partnered with Formula E, and we've covered all of their races in this way this season. And from next season, we'll be rolling out and doing it sort of globally and live. The second is the SPFL, the Scottish Professional Football League, another example. We work with different football leagues around the world, and we actually put you on the field whilst the game is going on around you. So a couple of examples. So just to reiterate, the future of sports is a true VR experience. It's immersive, it's multisensory, and it's with freedom to move around within the experience, to interact, to take it beyond just that spherical capture. To wrap up very quickly, sports will drive mass adoption of VR. It's going to be a key player. It's not just about gaming. And the opportunities that come from sports, if the clicker lets me go, are to augment live events, to bring people together around these live events. More ticket sales for clubs, more money for leagues, virtual tickets, subscriptions, targeted advertising. You can replace all of the advertising in the stadium virtually with whatever content you want. You can target it to individuals based on where they are. That's a hugely valuable thing. If you think of how much advertising there is in just the NBA, how many breaks, and you take that into VR, that's a huge market. For brands, it's about creating that association with these immersive experiences, to brand up those experiences, to create that excitement for users. And you can put branded content already within experiences. This is something we were doing with Virgin Media around Formula E, driving footfall into the stores and many other things. But ultimately, it's about storytelling. It's about using virtual reality to tell the story of your brand and to put your brand alongside it. So it's a huge opportunity for everyone. So just to wrap up now, my big message is virtual reality is here to stay. It's not a fad. It's going to be a big deal. And a few takeaways for you all. My conclusions are, number one, sports VR is going to happen, but sporting organizations have to let this happen. We have to allow innovation. It's fundamentally important. The second is avoid Me Too experiences. Don't just make another 360 VR experience. It's about immersion. It's around creating that interaction, and that's where really we come into play. It's a huge opportunity for brands. Actually, it's a huge opportunity for everyone in that field. Social is key. It's not about watching on your own. It's about watching with friends. And finally, on that first point, VR is here to stay for any brand, for any organization, for anyone who's not, obviously you guys are all here for the VR conference, so you're bought in, but think about your VR strategy, because it's not just about the now, it's about where this market is going. It's going to be significant. So thank you very much for listening, and find me afterwards if you have any questions. Thank you.